Hello, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. So we're going to stick with the letter E for one more class. I decided that I'd like to share with you another petit four that we used to make at the restaurant. Actually, it was a part of a composed dessert that we made. And these are called chocolate espresso shortbread cookies. And espresso and chocolate go beautifully together. And I think that you'll really like these shortbread. It's a shortbread because there are no eggs. When you make a shortbread, you don't have any eggs in it. And it's very buttery, and it also has a very nice crumble to the cookie. So it's very delicate and delicious. And of course, the chocolate and the espresso are such intense flavors, and they really meld together beautifully. And they are very easy to make. They freeze very nicely, and it might be another new addition to your cookie repertoire. So we're going to get started with our ingredients, which I have here. 4 ounces of softened unsalted butter. I use Pelugra butter, but any unsalted butter that you like to use is perfect for this cookie. And we have some confectioner's sugar. I have 1/3 of a cup of confectioner's sugar, which I'm going to add to the bowl. So we're going to mix this until it's very well incorporated. I just have a hand mixer. You can also use your KitchenAid, but you can just use your hand mixer for this cookie recipe. And once this is very well mixed, we're going to add a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So let me get started with mixing. And I'm just going to start this on low until the sugar is into the butter. I don't want to wear it. And then I can raise it on high just to make it nice and light and fluffy, which is what we're looking for. Okay, so this is nicely mixed. We're just going to shut this off for 1 second and add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Here we go. And we just have to put this on low just to mix it very quickly together. And then all we have to do is add our dry ingredients. We will need to let the dough chill for a couple of hours in the refrigerator before we roll them out, cut them, and get them baked off. So I have just a simple strainer here. I'm going to add 1 cup of unbleached all-purpose flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of fine sea salt, and to that 2 tablespoons of very finely ground espresso. And if you couldn't have caffeine, you could also use decaf espresso here as well. You know how they talk about tiramisu being a little bit of a pick-me-up? Well, this little cookie is a little bit of a pick-me-up, and very similar in ingredients with the espresso and the chocolate that we're going to use to dip them after they're baked off. So just take all of your dry ingredients and add it to the butter. Once this is all nicely mixed together, which only takes 2 seconds, we will take the dough and put it in some saran and refrigerate it for 2 hours. So here you can actually, at this point, you can actually smell the espresso, which smells really, really nice. And you can see how sticky this is, that you would really need to let this rest for a couple of hours before you could actually roll this out. So I'm just going to grab some saran wrap here. So here's our saran. And we'll just put the dough right in the center. So here is our dough. Just close it up. Spread it out a little bit, make a nice round disc. Just take this and put this in your refrigerator for about 2 hours, and then when it's completely chilled, we'll be able to roll it out and move on to our next step. Okay, so we have chilled our dough for about an hour and 40 minutes. You can chill it up to 2 hours, but it feels like it's firm enough that I can handle it. I can roll it out. So here we have it. I have a piece, you can use wax paper. I'm going to use parchment paper since that's what I have here, but you can use wax paper as well. And I'll put a piece of parchment paper on top. Okay, so we'll put a piece of parchment paper on top, and then we'll take our rolling pin and roll out the dough. Since the dough is sticky, it's best to use wax paper. You could, or this parchment paper to roll it out so that you don't have to add any flour. And this way here it won't stick to your rolling pin. So I am just about there. Just going to roll this a little bit thinner and a little bit more this way, and I think we're good. Okay, perfect. Okay, here's our dough, and I'm going to just cut out rounds. This is about 2 1/4 inch rounds. And I want to leave it on the parchment paper because we have to prick the dough with a fork so that it does not rise at all. Here I am taking my fork and just pricking the cookie rounds. Then just want to use an offset spatula to put them on your sheet pan. You can see I'll bring the tray over once they're all done. There we have it. These bake at a very low temperature, 300 degrees, for anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. You're just looking for a light color on the edge of the cookies. And I will bring the tray around so that you can see the cookies. Here we have them. And now they're going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, so I took the cookies out of the oven. I have to tell you that they did cook, it took about 30 minutes. And what you're looking for is to make sure that the bottoms have a nice light brown color. It's very difficult to really see it because the cookie itself is already a light brown. You just really want to just use an offset spatula and look and turn it over and take a look to make sure that it's nicely cooked. So it is a very, very light color, but you can actually see the difference. Our next step is they're completely cooled. You do need to dip them in chocolate after the cookies have completely cooled. So I have some chocolate on the stove and just over some simmering water. And I just saved a little bit of the chocolate. I have about 3 ounces of chocolate here. You may or may not even need all of it, but you need enough chocolate to be able to dip the cookie in. So here's, I kept back maybe about 1 ounce of it. And the reason is that you want to temper the chocolate. So this will cool down the chocolate just to the right temperature that you need to use for dipping the cookies. I'm going to, I think this little dish might just be perfect for the cookies. So I'm going to put it all in here and see if it works as nicely as I hope it will. I think it'll be perfect. So here's our chocolate. All you want to do is just dip in halfway, take it off, let the excess roll off. After I finish dipping all the cookies, I place them on a sheet pan that's lined with parchment paper, and I set them down to cool here. Actually not for the cookies to cool, but for the chocolate to set up. It's very easy to take them off of the parchment paper if you set them on a tray lined with parchment. If you don't have parchment paper, then use wax paper. So they are all done, and now we can just take them and put them on our plate. I do want to mention, in case I didn't when I was actually rolling out the dough, that you want to roll this to about a 1/4 inch thick. That's what you're looking for, about a 1/4 inch. And depending on your oven and depending on how thick you do roll the dough, will determine how long it's going to take to actually bake. So here we have our espresso shortbread cookies. And now we'll be moving on to the letter F. I think we have a couple of wonderful ideas in store for you.